For many, it is the deepest longing of the heart to find a love that goes beyond appearances, beyond fleeting passion, a love that connects souls in a way that feels eternal, grounding, and real. True love is not just about butterflies in the stomach or whispered promises in the night. It is one of the most magical and profound experiences a person can go through. It is a place where two souls meet, not to complete each other, but to walk side by side, understanding, growing, and healing together. It is built on passion, yes, but also on patience, deep understanding, acceptance, and quiet sacrifice. And yet, not everyone finds it. Some people spend their entire lives searching for that ideal connection, that perfect match. Others believe they've found it, only to lose it along the way. Many, out of fear of being alone, settle for something far less, ending up in relationships where they still feel lonely, misunderstood, or unseen. So we have to ask ourselves, is true love really that rare? Or are we, perhaps unknowingly, the ones closing the door on it? Maybe the answer isn't fate or luck. Maybe the answer lies within us, in the way we love, in what we expect from others, and most importantly, in how we treat ourselves. Maybe, in our desire for perfection, we forget that real love isn't about finding the perfect person. It's about choosing to love someone genuinely, even with their imperfections. In today's video, let's explore some of the most common reasons why many people never find true love and the powerful lessons that might help you avoid the same heartbreak. Because while true love may be rare, it is not impossible. 1. Unrealistically high or unreasonable expectations. We often carry within us an image of the ideal partner, someone who's physically attractive, emotionally intelligent, financially stable, witty, romantic, supportive, and of course, who understands us completely without us even having to explain. It's a beautiful dream. But sometimes we get so caught up in this ideal that we forget something very simple and very human. No one is perfect. When our expectations are shaped by fantasy, by movies, books, social media, or even our own insecurities, we begin to hold real people to impossible standards. And the moment someone shows a flaw, a shortcoming, or simply doesn't meet one of our many criteria, we feel disappointed or disconnected. What we don't realize is, we're not really giving love a chance. We're chasing a version of it that doesn't exist. There are people who spend years, even decades, waiting for that perfect person to arrive. They keep swiping, searching, comparing. They dismiss good, kind, emotionally available partners because they don't feel the spark, or because they don't tick every box on the checklist. In doing so, they miss out on the most meaningful kind of connection, the kind that grows quietly, slowly, and becomes stronger with time, understanding, and care. The truth is, you don't find someone perfect. You find someone human. They'll have flaws. They'll have triggers, insecurities, and maybe even baggage, just like you do. And true love, real, enduring love, begins when two imperfect people choose each other anyway. When they see the flaws and love not in spite of them, but sometimes because of them. Because those imperfections are part of what makes someone real, vulnerable, and beautiful. Lesson: true love isn't about finding the perfect person. It's about choosing someone who isn't perfect and learning to love them in a way that's perfectly real. Not because they meet every expectation, but because your souls meet in a place where expectations don't matter as much as understanding, kindness, and effort. 2. Not understanding yourself first. Many people spend their lives searching for their other half, that one person who will complete them, who will bring light into their darkness, who will make them feel whole. It's a romantic idea, one that's been fed to us by fairy tales, movies, and love songs. But there's a quiet truth that often gets overlooked. You can't find your other half until you've come home to yourself first. We long for love, yet many of us enter relationships without truly understanding who we are. What are our core values? What do we really need in a partnership beyond surface-level desires? What are our emotional wounds, our patterns, our fears, our love languages? What are we capable of giving? And what boundaries do we need to protect ourselves? Without that inner clarity, we're more likely to fall into relationships that look good on the outside, but feel empty on the inside. We might confuse attraction with compatibility. We might mistake comfort for connection. Or worse, we might accept love that isn't healthy simply because it makes us feel less alone. And loneliness, that's a powerful force. When we don't feel whole within ourselves, we begin to search for someone to fill the void, to soothe the ache of emptiness or fear. But seeking love to escape loneliness is like drinking salt water. When you're thirsty, the more you consume, the more you crave, and the emptier you feel inside. Relationships that begin from that place often lead to dependency, confusion, and heartbreak. You end up chasing validation instead of connection. You mold yourself to fit into someone else's world instead of asking whether your souls are actually aligned. And in that process, you lose the very thing that makes love worth having in the first place: authenticity. So what's the solution? It starts with a journey inward, a quiet, sometimes painful, but deeply necessary process of self-discovery, of learning to sit with your own thoughts, of understanding your emotional triggers, of asking hard questions. Why do I feel unworthy of love? Why do I chase people who don't value me? What do I really want in a partner? Not just what looks good on paper, but what feels right in my soul. Because when you understand yourself truly and honestly, everything changes. You stop chasing love for the wrong reasons. You stop settling for less than you deserve. You begin to recognize who is good for your growth and who is just filling a temporary void. And most importantly, you begin to attract relationships that reflect your truth, not your fear. Listen, before you can expect someone else to understand you, support you, or love you deeply, you must first be willing to understand yourself. You must learn to be your own safe space, your own source of peace, your own source of love. Because the strongest, most beautiful relationships are not built by two incomplete people looking to be saved. They are built by two whole souls walking side by side, choosing each other with awareness, honesty, and love. 3. Fear of getting hurt. Love is one of the most beautiful feelings a person can experience, but it's also one of the most vulnerable, because at its core, love is a risk, a quiet, courageous risk we take when we choose to let someone into our heart. When you fall in love, you are not just embracing joy, warmth, and companionship. You're also handing someone else the power to affect you deeply. You give them access to the most fragile parts of you, your fears, your dreams, your insecurities, your past. And with that, you give them the power to heal you or to hurt you. And that's exactly why so many people, whether they realize it or not, start building walls around their hearts. Walls made of silence, distance, sarcasm, or even false independence. Walls meant to protect, but that too often only isolate. They push away love, not because they don't want it, but because they're terrified of what it might cost. This fear doesn't come out of nowhere. Most of the time, it's shaped by experience, by past relationships that ended in betrayal, by friendships that broke trust, or by wounds from childhood that taught them not to rely on anyone. And once someone has been deeply hurt, it's only natural for them to flinch at the thought of being vulnerable again. So they tell themselves, it's safer not to feel, I'm fine on my own. Love just isn't worth the pain. But here's the truth. Love will always carry risk. There is no version of love that comes with a guarantee, even in the healthiest relationship. there's a possibility of hurt, whether through misunderstanding, change, or loss. That's what makes love so powerful. The choice to be open, even when it's not safe. The willingness to trust again. Even after being broken, you cannot love deeply and protect yourself completely at the same time. You cannot hold someone at a distance and expect closeness. You cannot run from the possibility of pain and still hope to feel the fullness of love. Listen, if you're not willing to risk being hurt, you're not truly ready to love, because real love requires real vulnerability. It asks you to show up not with your armor on, but with your heart open. Yes, you might get hurt, but you also might find something extraordinary, and in the end, it's not the pain we regret most, it's the love we were too afraid to give. 4. Looking in the wrong places, loving the wrong people. Some people spend their entire lives searching for true love, and yet they never seem to find it, not because they are unworthy of love, but because they keep looking in the wrong places, or worse, they keep choosing the wrong people over and over again. They chase after partners who shine on the outside, charming, attractive, charismatic, perhaps even mysterious. They're drawn to the excitement, the allure, the idea of a love that feels intense and cinematic. But what they often fail to see is that appearance doesn't equal depth, and intensity doesn't always mean compatibility. The surface starts to crack. The charm wears thin. And what's left behind is a relationship with someone whose core values don't align, someone who doesn't nurture the heart, doesn't understand the soul, and doesn't support the growth that true love requires. And then there are those who fall into toxic cycles. They find themselves in relationships where they're not truly seen, not deeply appreciated, or even worse, disrespected and emotionally hurt. But because the pattern feels familiar, they stay. They love people who never really love them back in the way they deserve. They hold on, hoping things will change, ignoring the red flags, believing that love means enduring pain. Eventually, they start to wonder, why does love always hurt me? Why can't I find someone who truly values me? But the truth is, you cannot find true love if you keep opening your heart to those who are not capable of holding it. If you keep repeating the same lessons without learning from them, love becomes a loop instead of a journey forward. There's something tragic about giving your whole heart to someone who never saw its worth. And yet, so many do. Out of fear of being alone. Out of the belief that maybe this is the best I'll get. But love is not meant to shrink you, confuse you, or leave you feeling small. It's meant to free you, ground you, and help you grow. Listen, true love isn't about finding the most attractive person in the room. It's about finding someone whose soul feels familiar, whose energy brings peace, and whose values reflect your own. It's not about sparks that burn fast and fade. It's about a connection that grows stronger with time, built on honesty, trust, emotional safety, and mutual care. 5. Lack of patience and giving up too easily. Love doesn't always arrive when we want it to. It doesn't show up on schedule or appear just because we're ready for it. And that's one of the most frustrating truths about love. It moves on its own timeline, not ours. Many people, after waiting for what feels like too long, begin to lose hope. They grow tired of the silence, of the empty spaces, of seeing everyone else in relationships while they remain alone. And in that vulnerable space, they make a dangerous decision. They settle. Not because their heart is full, but because it's aching. Not because the person in front of them is right, but because they're there. They rush into a relationship just to fill the void, to silence the fear of being alone. And at first, it might feel like a relief to be seen, to be touched, to be wanted. But over time, something begins to feel off. The connection feels shallow. The conversations feel forced. And deep down, there's a quiet voice saying, "This isn't it." Because love born out of loneliness is often more about escape than it is about true connection. On the other side of the spectrum, there are people who walk away too quickly. When things get hard, they retreat. When misunderstandings arise, they give up. They hold an idea of love that's effortless and magical, and the moment things feel difficult, they assume they've chosen the wrong person. But here's the truth. No relationship is perfect from the start. Even the most beautiful love stories require effort, patience, communication, and a willingness to grow together. Real love isn't found. It's built slowly, carefully, with trust and shared experience. It's shaped through challenges, misunderstandings, and forgiveness. It's tested in moments of fear and proven in moments of choice. Sometimes the person who's right for you won't feel like a perfect match right away, because love isn't just about compatibility, it's about commitment, about choosing each other again and again, even when it's hard, about staying, talking, working things through, instead of running at the first sign of discomfort. Lesson: don't rush into the arms of the wrong person just because you're tired of waiting. And don't walk away from someone who could be right for you just because love requires effort. True love takes time to understand, time to grow, and time to become something deep and lasting. Wait for the love that feels real, and once you find it, don't let it go at the first challenge. Nurture it, protect it, and let it evolve. 6. Focusing too much on yourself. Some people go through life yearning deeply for love, craving to be seen, to be held, to be chosen. They long for someone to give them affection, attention, loyalty, and understanding. But at the same time, they forget one important truth. Love isn't just about being loved. It's also about knowing how to love in return. You see, many people are so focused on their own wants, their own emotional needs, and their own desire for connection that they fail to consider the experience of the person standing in front of them. They expect loyalty, but don't offer consistency. They want deep emotional support, but don't take the time to truly understand their partner's feelings. They want a partner who will be there through everything, but they themselves are only present when it's convenient. This kind of one-sided love never lasts. Because love is not something you get, it's something you share. True love cannot grow in the soil of selfishness. It grows in the quiet, often unseen acts of giving, understanding, listening, and showing up even when it's not easy. The truth is, to be truly loved, you must first become someone who knows how to love. That means stepping outside of your own world, your own wants, and tuning into someone else's reality. It means asking, what does my partner need today? What are they feeling? How can I be a safe space for them? Loving someone is not just about big romantic gestures. It's in the daily choices, being kind even when you're tired, listening without judgment, sacrificing your comfort sometimes so someone else can feel at peace. That's love in action, and that's the kind of love that builds deep emotional connection, the kind of love that endures. When you only focus on receiving, you might feel temporary satisfaction. But without reciprocity, love turns cold. Your partner will feel unseen, unloved, and eventually, the relationship will become hollow. But when you learn to give love not out of duty, not to manipulate, but from a place of genuine care, something shifts. The connection becomes deeper. The trust becomes stronger. And both hearts begin to feel full. Lesson: true love is not about taking, it's about giving. If you want to receive loyalty, compassion, and understanding, you must offer those things first, because love is not a transaction. It's a mirror. What you give reflects back to you. So, if you want a love that's deep, honest, and lasting, learn to love with your whole heart first. 7. Losing faith in love. There are those who have been betrayed or hurt so deeply that they lose faith in love. They convince themselves that true love doesn't exist, and as a result, close themselves off from experiencing it. However, Love only comes to those who believe in it. Lesson: if you don't believe in true love, how can you? Conclusion: true love is not something that can be easily found. It doesn't appear just because you want it to, and it's not a magic that happens overnight. True love requires understanding, patience, an open heart, and accepting each other for who you truly are. If you haven't found love yet, it's not because it doesn't exist. It may simply be that you're not yet ready to embrace it. Do you believe in true love? If so, be patient, love yourself, and open your heart. True love will come to you at the right time.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.